Today's official party consists of the 3rd Armored Corps and Fort Cavazos Deputy Commanding General of Maneuver, Brigadier General Jeff Van Epps.
Let us pray. Our most high and gracious God, the first cavalrymen of the West rode into battle with these words of the psalmist on their lips. Not to us, O Lord, not to us, but to your name give glory, for the sake of your steadfast love and your faithfulness. May the museum we dedicate today bear faithful witness to the sacrifice and service of those who fought on field and plains of our young nation, in the skies and in the forests of Asia and Europe, and in the deserts and mountains of the Middle East. Steel our hearts in the face of the enemy, give us confidence in your love and faithfulness, and keep us ready for the fight whenever and wherever we are called. In your strong name I pray, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Fort Cavazos has a long-standing history tied to mounted soldiers, mounted warfare, and to the units that support the mounted warrior. The National Mounted Warrior Museum has been a joint effort between the United States Army and the National Mounted Warfare Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting the mounted warrior story. Plans for the National Mounted Warrior Museum have been underway for more than over 10 years. The groundbreaking ceremony was held in November of 2020. The building construction was completed in November of 2021. The building was then gifted to the United States Army from the National Mounted Warfare Foundation in January of 2022. The National Mounted Warrior Museum is owned and operated by the United States Army and currently offers over 12,000 square feet of permanent gallery space, over 1,000 square feet of temporary exhibit space, and a 4,900 square foot rotunda sitting on 17 acres near the Bernie-Beck Gate and adjacent to the Horse Cavalry Detachment. The National Mounted Warrior Museum will be free of charge, open to the public, and will not require a visitor access pass. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3rd Armored Corps and Fort Cavazos Deputy Commanding General Maneuver, Brigadier General Jeff Van Epps.
Hey, teammates, distinguished guests, members of the Central Texas community, good neighbors, looking great in your blue blazers, friends of Fort Cavazos, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on a glorious Texas morning as we celebrate the opening of the National Mounted Warrior Museum. We have been humbled by the immense outpouring of support that this endeavor has received from the surrounding community, and nowhere is that more apparent than in the enormous crowd, standing room only, that we have here at this morning's ceremony. Now, if I were to personally thank every board member, every donor, every contractor, every elected official that contributed to making today a reality, we'd be here till nightfall. So let me just simply say, thank you. The National Mounted Warrior Museum is more than just another building on this great installation. The 3rd Armored Corps is the largest armored force in the United States military, and this museum showcases the history of the American Mounted Warrior, as well as directly telling the history of our major subordinate units here on Fort Cavazos. This museum gives an opportunity for Fort Cavazos soldiers and family members to understand and to appreciate the heritage that they bear as members of the profession of arms. Since it was first established in 1942, Fort Cavazos has been dedicated to training and equipping the world's best mounted warriors, starting with the tank destroyers that helped defeat German armored forces during World War II. Our tradition of excellence in mounted warfare is a proud legacy, and one that we work to inculcate in every soldier who is assigned to units on our installation. This museum commemorates more than a century of American mounted warfare, honoring warriors from deep in our history, like horse-mounted lancers with revolvers and sabers, all the way up to modern tank crews and attack aviators. This museum highlights how, in spite of changing technologies, one thing has remained consistent across battlefields and across centuries: the valor and audacity of the American mounted warrior, and our determination to fight and win America's wars no matter what. As a junior soldier or a young lieutenant, it's easy to become frustrated with the daily grind of maintenance and training, and it can be hard to see the bigger picture, to understand that pursuing day-to-day excellence is what makes 3rd Armored Corps the most capable armored force in the world. And by understanding how the warriors of the past fought and trained, we can help soldiers to understand that they are part of a fellowship of mounted warriors that spans our nation's history. This museum will motivate and inspire a new generation of mounted warriors here at Fort Cavazos who will take the lessons that they learn here and carry that knowledge with them throughout their careers. And I just want to close with a call to action for all the soldiers, families, and members of the Central Texas community here today. Please bring your friends and your loved ones back here to this museum, not just so that they can understand the history of America's mounted warriors, but so that the exhibits of courage and bravery commemorated here can inspire them to their own acts of service, whether in our nation's armed forces or through volunteering in their local communities. Again, thank you to everyone who helped make today possible. Thank you for your time and effort, for your commitment, and for helping us preserve our history and our heritage. I can't wait to cut the ribbon with all of you here in a moment, but thank you again.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Retired Paul Funk, President and CEO of the National Mounted Warfare Foundation.
Thanks a lot. Great to be in front of the mighty 3rd Corps colors. Listen, folks, this is a rare beast. There's nothing like it in the world, and there's only one really left, even in this country. And if you want to worry about anything, worry about that. Mr. Averill, great to have you here today. This man, I was going to say young man, and he is compared to me, was very instrumental in pushing the bureaucracy to get this place, get the approval for us to raise the money and then hand this over to the Army. There are some other heroes here too. And of course, our son was born here, and now he's sitting over here as a retired 4-star, along with another great friend, another retired 4-star, J.D. Thurman. We're proud of all of this. But what this museum is about, in my opinion, and has been, and Charles and I have talked about this, it's about the soldiers. We're talking the tactical level. They do the fight and almost all the dying. That's why I think this is really important for those great mounted warriors of the past and of the future. And Chaplain, thanks for the Horse Cavalry comments. I was born 100 years too late. I should have been one of those guys, I think. I understand horses a lot better than I've ever understood mechanized stuff, I think, including helicopters, which I flew in Vietnam. Look, we do have a lot of people to thank. I want to make a special point today to mention folks that don't get mentioned enough, though. And I would say I'd start with my bride, my wife, Danny. 63 plus years now we've been at this. And God love her, when we came to Fort Hood, I don't know why she stayed with me, because at that time it was pretty tough. When we came over the Nolanville Hill, folks, there were about 3 lights out there looking, and nothing like what it's like today. We counted up one time, we've lived in 32 and a half years in the Army, we lived in 29 different houses. That's her. She was in there already organizing it, always trying to make a home for our kids while I was still in shock. I mean, that's what Army spouses do increasingly today. There are men doing that sort of thing. But certainly the women of our era, the women in our family are very, very strong. Our sons have married strong ladies, and so have our grandsons. And so this is very important to us. This museum will help preserve that legacy, and I ask you to remember those ladies when you go through here. I want to also mention the fact that Charles Bowery's here today, and you're going to hear from him, but he has been a staunch supporter of ours and a great guide throughout this. And I'm grateful to you, Charles, for that very much. I'm grateful for our board of directors. Would the board of directors, the folks that are able to make it here today, could you just stand up, please? Thank you very, very much. And if you just look at the faces there, and you see great members of our community, including our present mayor and past mayors, and Tim's out there too, and he gave me great guidance. He's the one that, along with my friend, I think he's still a friend, Ron, there he is. Hi, Tim. How you doing? He was mayor at the time, Tim Hancock, and they said, look, a lot of people are going to say this can't be done, and that's true. And then there'll be a lot of people, when you get it done, that say, boy, we were glad we supported that. We're all for it. Good advice, Tim. Good advice. Yeah. Look, this is important to me. Not as a personal goal, but because of the teamwork. And I'm going to talk about the most important member of our team here. You should know that 3 of us have been here from almost the beginning. Shannon and I, Shannon Shipman, still our financial support person, and Bob Crouch, who came in about 6 months after we started and has been with us for the rest of it. But above all, the folks that have contributed funding to this, the lead person, and I'm not going to tell anybody how much these folks gave us, but I'll just tell you, and I'll read a few names. Point is, the lead one for a large gift was a lady who doesn't ever ask for any credit, but deserves a lot throughout this entire community, and that's Miss Sue Mayborn. She's not here today, but I mean, she looked at me at one meeting, I think about the 3rd meeting was all we had, and told me what she would do and how much that they would contribute. And that sustained me from the beginning, I promise you. And then 2 great ladies came not long after that, and you know them. They're the Beck ladies, Sis and Colleen. Tremendous support, financial, from them, and help. I want to call out Evan Katz, who's here today, owns our bank, Fort Hood National. Evan gave us a really, really fine gift, and we're grateful to him. And all those folks that have given, the board members that have given, some more than others, that's just because everyone, I hope, give what they're capable of. And we've got more to raise, folks. We've got to build the classrooms to get all the young kids in here and teach the civics lessons. I was speaking with Mr. Averill earlier, and he was so instrumental in bending the bureaucracy and, by gosh, getting us into this to where we are now. And I'm grateful to him. If you just go up and meet him and thank him, will you? Because he's the guy that sort of belies the definition of a bureaucrat. This is a guy that makes things happen. like my friend Doc Anderson, Pat Curry, those kind of folks. I don't know if Sid Miller made it today, but Sid has been a great supporter. He's a senior guy from our government, Texas government. We hope we're going to add some more there. Pat's working that. Sid Miller has been a great supporter of this institution. I think it's important that everybody know how much the folks from Killeen, the Killeen funding has come from the city of Killeen, very quietly, and it's coming in from different directions. But the whole notion of economic development, that committee that's out there has supported us strongly, and I'm grateful, as has some of the other cities. Parker Heights helped us, Coppers Cove, and the Development Corporation of Coppers Cove, which is not a city kind of a thing, it's a bunch of private folks, they've helped us. I know that you know that these kinds of things just tempt. Let me give you an example of the generosity. Brad Stewart, a staunch board member here, their concrete company did the finishing in here. Great folks. And Brad has twice given us this tent. His folks come in, set it up, tear it down. That would have cost us a lot of money. That's the generosity of Brad Stewart and the Stewart family. And please thank them too. The guy that's driven this thing, and I maybe had something to do with it here and there, but Bob Crouch has been a stalwart. He just has. And all of you that know him know that. He's almost everywhere. He also, by the way, picked up his doctorate from a Florida institution on the way, and he's been a Rotary governor. So this is a guy who's been very active in our community, selflessly supports his church. So just thank Bob today when you talk to him, as I'm pretty sure you will, and just tell him, certainly I want to tell him how much I appreciate it. Then I want to go back and just close by saying this is about the troopers. Twice I've been able to command U.S. forces in combat. The first was in Vietnam, the great Apache Troop, A Troop, 1st Squadron, 9th Cavalry. Tremendous guys. We're going to a reunion here in about 2 weeks for the troop, but what a privilege that was. We lost too many of those kids, by the way, in that senseless war. And then the 3rd Armored Division, the Spearhead Division, which out of the force structure almost as soon as we finished that war. Nobody has fought like those young people did. The only guy that really recognized it was General Israel Tall of the Israeli army, who said in an article before, you guys haven't seen how the U.S. Army executes mounted maneuver warfare. And you know what? The Iraqis had no sense of it either. And it wasn't they were so bad, folks. Just that our kids were so good, so relentless, so skilled. They're terrific. And you ought to just thank them. I know you do. I know this community does, but I'm telling you, what a privilege. What a privilege it was to command that division in that war. And that was George H.W. Bush as president, and did it the way you ought to do it. Joe Powell led the effort, hit them with everything you got. Yeah, was it overkill? Maybe. Bring them, almost all of them, home. Damn straight. So ladies and gentlemen, that's what this museum's about. By the way, I think they've done a remarkable job. Charles folks, Rob and his guys, you're going to hear from Rob. They just have made this place look good, and the contractors did. I want to mention that our contractors, and the young man that designed this building is a graduate of Coppers Cove High School. He's an Army brat, and we love him. Mike, thank you. The 2 Mikes are here, and Tom Lewick from the folks that designed this building. And then we've got some folks here from the guys that built it. And they did a terrific job too. And I'm sorry I don't know exactly who's here today from that contractor. But let me just quickly, otherwise I'll screw it up. Bartlett Cock, of course, was the contractors. Kevin Bird, Sean Stevens, Mike Hibner, Frank Barnes, all of them. I don't know if any of them are here, but they did a great job. And the folks, our architects, are still friends. We've got the whole footprint, by the way, designed. I'd like to be able to say tomorrow, when somebody gives us a check for, I don't know, $8 or $10 million, we'll start building the rest of this thing because they're ready to go. And I'll bet you we could call Bartlett Cock. And I might think they might even be ready to go. So folks, thanks a lot. Look, this is ours. This is not just, and I know nobody at Fort Cavazos will be offended by this. This is not just Fort Cavazos. This is an entire mounted force. And it's this community. The people in this community who've been, we believe, a couple of studies have been done, the latest from Texas A&M Central Texas. We had nothing to do with it except give them stuff. 377,000 visitors the first year is what the prediction is. 70% of them will be from out of town. For crying out loud, they're going to be buying gas, they're going to be buying hot dogs, might even buy a hamburger or two, and they're going to be staying in our hotels. It's going to be an economic boom. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to have been part of this. We're going to stay with it. We're going to finish it. And now, let's get on with this deal. And I think Charles is following me, but they'll introduce him. Thanks again, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Charles Bowery, Jr., Executive Director of the U.S. Army Center of Military History.
Well, good morning, and it's, of course, wonderful to be back in Central Texas. General Van Epps, you made my job really easy here this morning by hitting many of the points that I think we should all leave with today. But as you heard, the Army's roots run deep here in the soil of Central Texas. My own Army roots run deep here. I deployed an attack helicopter battalion from here to Afghanistan and back in 29 and 2010. My wife served here with the 1st Cav Division deployed to Iraq with the Grey Wolf BCT. And so it's a special day for me. I see so many allies of this project in the audience, including my former boss at the Training and Doctrine Command, General Funk the Younger, sir. Beth, it's great to see you. What an incredible opportunity we have in front of us that's been presented by this community to tell the Army's story to the nation, to connect our soldiers to our communities and to the nation, to inspire people to a lifetime of service, and for them to understand a perspective, as General Van Epps said, of why they serve amidst the daily operational tempo of service and all the hardships that come with that. And so we wouldn't be standing here without the incredible work of the National Mounted Warrior Foundation. And so almost a decade ago, when I began my role here at the Center of Military History, I visited the museums here at Fort Hood, and I took a meeting with a new foundation headed by General Funk. And we sat down at his office in Killeen and we talked about a vision that really inspired me. And he wanted to take our existing museums on post, move them closer to the community, make them more accessible, make them more inclusive, make them more interesting, make them more inspiring. But the challenge also was to retain the stories of the 1st Cav Division and the 3rd Cavalry Regiment and all of the units that have served here on this post through time, and to use them to inspire all of us as a community. And the foundation has done that. You have put yourselves out there, and this community has created this incredible facility. We at the Army were just there to sign on the dotted line, to do, as we said, some of the administrivia behind it. And for that, I do want to thank Mr. Averill and all the team at Headquarters Department of the Army for getting us over the finish line to do this. But this is a celebration of this community, this command, and these soldiers today. What you're going to see in this facility, I believe, is really a 21st century museum experience. It's got beautiful, incredible artifacts and objects that tell stories, but it's also got photographs, it's got maps, it's got video, it's got music, it's got firsthand accounts of our soldiers. And I challenge all of our leaders here in the 3rd Armored Corps, and in particular our senior NCOs, to bring your soldiers here, to let them see themselves and their service in this museum. Because what we have not done very well, in my opinion, as an Army, particularly since 9/11, is tell the stories of this generation of soldiers who served with every bit of the valor of soldiers from Vietnam, from Korea, from World War II and before. And now we can tell their stories in a 21st century way that will connect with them and that will explain what we have done to the members of our community who have been so supportive. And so you're not here to hear me talk, you're here for us to open this beautiful facility. But I do also, as I wrap up, I want to thank my colleagues here at the Mounted Warrior Museum who've served as the careful and professional stewards of this collection and these stories over time, headed by Robbie Reinstein and his team. I see Maisie, I see Sherry. They're such wonderful colleagues and friends, and I'm really, really proud of you. This day is for you to celebrate as well. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to this community. I'm thrilled to see what comes next. We will always be here with you, arms linked, to support it. This will defend.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robbie A. Reinstein, Director of the National Mounted Warrior Museum.
Good morning, everyone. Distinguished visitors, guests, friends and families of the museum, thank you for coming out today. It's a beautiful Texas day. It really is. It's been a long road to get here. It really has. I'd like to take a moment to kind of talk a little bit about how we got here. You know, from the foundation doing this magnificent work and getting us this building to put our museum here, it's been a great effort. We really appreciate it. The Army itself, Army Center Military History, and the Fort Cavazos leadership to embrace the idea of this museum here. It has been a great effort. It's really come to fruition. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the museum staff, Sherry McDowney, Maisie Duncan. Incredible work. Long nights, weekends, holidays, for months to get us to this place. So I really appreciate all your efforts. I'd also like to thank one other group of unsung heroes, our museum volunteers like Dee Dee Moore, Rob Oshner, Christina Adams, Scott Hamrick, Rachel Burton. You really have made the difference. They do all the work behind the scenes to support us. It has been a great, great effort. This is truly a team effort. Everyone out here is part of the team. And I thank you all very much for all the support you provided us along the way. That being said, being it's the 82nd birthday of Fort Cavazos, I think we've gifted a museum to the post, and I think it's time for us to cut a ribbon. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Brigadier General Jeff Van Epps, Command Sergeant Major John P. McDwyer, Lieutenant General Retired Paul Funk, Mr. Charles Bowery, Mr. Robbie Reinstein, Ms. Sherry McDowney, and Ms. Maisie Duncan will formally cut the ribbon, signifying the official opening of the National Mounted Warrior Museum, the Army's newest museum. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in counting down to cut the ribbon. 3, 2, 1.
Gotta come back up, sir.
Don't forget to thank Theron Johnson, the guy that's donated to this museum every single month since we started building this, since we started raising money. Every month.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Tank Destroyer March, the singing of the 3rd Corps March, and the Army Song.
Sing it loud.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. We ask to please not bring any food or drinks inside the museum.